China hopes to achieve during this year's Shangri-La Dialogue?
Shangri-La Dialogue is always a focus in the Asia-Pacific region. Over years, which PLA has sent many delegations, including former Minister General Liang Guanglie. And this time, it is particularly important in that it is a very large delegation comprising senior military officers and some leading scholars. At the Shangri-La Dialogue, China and the US are always a focus. So during the meeting, General Wang Guanzhong has elaborated quite well China's policies, as well as China's good labeling policy and China's determination to safeguard its territory and sovereignty.
There's been a lot of talks about the freedom of navigation and even some of the criticisms on China. How would you answer some of the critics?
Freedom of navigation is really a buzzword at Shangri-La Dialogue because it is so often mentioned. This concept is very important because it comes from a UN Convention on the Law of the Sea. So almost all countries agree to this idea, but the people read this in different light. For China, freedom of navigation is of course a matter of fact, and we always maintain that China has never impeded any freedom of navigation. But we disagree to some claims that freedom of navigation is used for all waters. For example, in the international law, there is no such term like international water. There is only EEZ and open sea. So we do not recognize some countries closing in reconnaissance in China's EEZ legitimate because of freedom of navigation. So if freedom of navigation cannot be really agreed upon by all countries, we still could find ways to do more cooperation, because counterpiracy in the Gulf of Aden, for example, is about counterpiracy, is also about safeguarding sea line of communication, which is related to freedom of navigation. For this very purpose, the Chinese Navy is working in tandem with navies of over 20 countries in the Gulf of Aden and in the Indian Ocean to safeguard freedom of navigation.
How would you comment on the military relations between China and the ASEAN members?
China enjoys very good relationship with ASEAN countries, and so is the relationship between Chinese military and ASEAN militaries. Yes, we understand that we have some territorial disputes with some of the member states, but in spite of this, all these problems cannot overshadow the overall good relationship. And in terms of the disputes, China has made its stance very clear that we would like to resolve this issue with all the countries concerned through friendly discussions. And for these very purposes, China has put forward a lot of proposals. The latest proposal came from Chinese Defense Minister Chan Wanquan in Naypyidaw, Myanmar, where he mentioned that China would invite the 10 defense ministers of ASEAN countries to come to China next year for a special meeting. And we have also put forward that in an attempt to enhance our good relationship, China stands ready to discuss establishing direct telephone lines between China and ASEAN countries at a time they believe appropriate. So with all these concrete proposals, we believe we have showed utmost sincerity.
Thank you very much for your time.